The bride suddenly ran out of the church in tears, but the groom standing at the altar wasn't the man everyone believed he was. The church door suddenly burst open. A young woman in a white wedding dress ran out, tears running down her face. Her veil flew behind her as she pushed past the guest. "She's running away," someone shouted. Inside the church, the music stopped. The bride's family stood up in confusion. The groom remained standing at the altar, completely still. But what nobody in that church knew was that the man waiting at the altar was not who everyone believed he was. Before we continue, subscribe to Tales Mama's Official so you don't miss the next shocking part of this story. Because what happened next will leave the entire town speechless. Now, let's go back to the story. Just 1 hour earlier, everything had looked perfect. The church was beautifully decorated with white flowers. Soft music filled the air. Friends and family sat quietly, waiting for the bride. At the front stood the groom, Daniel. Daniel was known in the town as a successful businessman. Tall, calm, and always well-dressed. Many people believed the bride was very lucky to marry him. Some women even whispered among themselves, "She has won the jackpot," one woman said. But the bride, Maya, did not look like a lucky woman when she walked down the aisle. Her hands trembled. Her smile looked forced. And when she reached the altar, she kept staring at Daniel as if she was seeing a stranger. The priest began the ceremony. "Dearly beloved, we are gathered here today." But Maya's breathing became heavier. Her heart pounded because standing in front of her was the man she feared the most. And suddenly, before anyone understood what was happening, she turned and ran. Outside the church, Maya ran as fast as she could. Her wedding dress dragged on the ground as she rushed down the road. Guests quickly followed behind her. "Maya, stopped!" her mother shouted. But Maya didn't stop. She jumped into a waiting taxi and slammed the door. "Drive!" she shouted. The driver looked confused. "Why to?" "Anyway, just drive," she said. The taxi sped away. Back at the church, guests whispered, "What just happened? Why did she run away?" At the altar, Daniel stood silently. His face showed no anger, no embarrassment. Instead, a small strange smile appeared on his lips. And at that moment, a man standing at the back of the church slowly stepped forward. A man who looked almost exactly like the groom, Daniel. But no one noticed him yet. As the taxi drove through the busy streets, Maya covered her face with her hands. She had known this day would come. She had tried to escape it many times, but her parents had insisted. "Daniel is a good man," they told her. "You would be foolish to refuse him." But Maya knew something about Daniel that no one else knew. A secret she had discovered by accident 2 months earlier. One night she had gone to visit Daniel unexpectedly. The lights in his house were off. But when she walked around the back of the house, she saw something through the window. Daniel was arguing with another man, a man who looked exactly like him. The same face, the same voice, the same body. At first, she thought she was dreaming. But then she heard Daniel say something that froze her blood. "No one must know about us," he said. And that was the moment Maya realized Daniel had a twin brother. A twin nobody in town knew about. But the secret was even darker than that. Back at the church, the guests were slowly leaving. Many people shook their heads. "This wedding is finished," someone said. But near the back door, the mysterious man who looked like Daniel stepped outside. He watched the empty road where Maya's taxi had disappeared. Then he whispered softly. She finally ran. The man pulled out his phone and made a call. "She knows," he said calmly. The voice on the other end sounded angry. "You let her escape?" The man smiled. "No," he replied. "Everything is going exactly as planned." And suddenly he added something even more shocking. "The man standing at the altar right now is not Daniel." Ha ha ha! The story is getting interesting. 2 months earlier, Maya had secretly returned to Daniel's house after seeing the two identical men. She hid near the window and listened. The two brothers were arguing. "You promised we will switch back after the wedding," one of them said. "And I will," the other replied. Once the marriage is done, Maya's heart raised and started beating fast. Switch? What did that mean? Then she heard the truth. Daniel was drowning in debt. His twin brother David, however, was the worthy one. And the plan was simple but evil. David would pretend to be Daniel during the wedding ceremony. He would legally marry Maya. Then after the wedding, the brothers would switch places again. Daniel would return and live as Maya's husband, while enjoying the money and property she inherited from her family. It was a perfect scam, except they did not know Maya had heard everything. Maya had kept this secret for 2 months. She told no one, not even her parents, but she knew she needed proof. So she did something very clever. She pretended to continue with the wedding plans. She smiled. She attended the meetings. She even tried on her wedding dress in front of Daniel. But secretly, she was planning something. And the moment she stood at the altar, she saw the groom's eyes. She knew immediately. The man in front of her was not Daniel. It was the twin brother, David. That was why she ran, because she knew the trap had already begun. What Maya didn't know was that someone else had been secretly watching the twins for a long time. Someone who was about to destroy their entire plan. 2 hours after the chaos at the church, police cars suddenly appeared at Daniel's house. Neighbors watched curiously. Officers walked straight to the door. Inside the house, David was sitting calmly on the sofa. He seemed completely unsurprised. "Mr. David, Mr. Daniel," the lead officer said, "you are both under investigation for fraud and identity deception." David slowly stood up. "And who reported us?" he said calmly. The officer looked him directly in the eyes. "The bride." David laughed softly. "Maya?" "Yes." But then the police added something that shocked him. "She came with someone who already knew about your plan." David's smile slowly disappeared. Someone? Because the next person walking through the door was someone he never expected to see again. The man who entered the room looked older, but his face was familiar. Very familiar. David's eyes widened. "Impossible," he whispered. Then the man spoke calmly. "You thought you were the only twin in this family?" The police officers looked confused, but Maya stepped forward and explained. "Years ago, the twins' father had abandoned another child from a different relationship. That child had spent years searching for his brothers, and 2 months earlier, he discovered their wedding scam. He contacted me secretly. Together, we gathered the evidence. Phone records, documents, witness statements, everything. The wedding day was the perfect moment to expose the truth. And Maya running away from the altar was the final signal. The trap had closed. Later that evening, the entire town was talking about the shocking story. The twin brothers were arrested. The scam had finally been exposed. Maya sat quietly outside the police station. For the first time in months, she felt peaceful. Her life had almost been destroyed, but her courage saved her. Sometimes, running is not weakness. Sometimes it is the bravest decision a person can make. And Maya knew one thing for sure. The day she ran from that altar was the day she ran towards her freedom. And this is the shocking story of the bride who ran away on her wedding day and the groom who was not who everyone thought. Sometimes the truth hides behind the most perfect smiles. If this story kept you guessing until the end, don't forget to subscribe to Tales Mama Official for more dramatic stories filled with suspense, secrets, and powerful life lessons. Because the next story might shock you even more. Till the next episode. Bye.